There's a storm brewing at Joe Gibbs Racing, with many heated words being thrown around after this week's dramatic and controversial events at Texas Motor Speedway. It seems that as the playoffs are heating up, the atmosphere in camp is reaching boiling point too. So today, we're delving into the drama between the team's drivers, fans, ownership, and NASCAR itself, and maybe making some bold predictions about the battles yet to unfold in the races yet to come. The root of the issue goes back to the start of the year, where it seemed like everything was going against the team. A run of unremarkable results meant the team had to wait until round 8 to lock in their first win of the year, as Christopher Bell claimed victory in the Bristol Dirt Race. Martin Truex Jr. began to pick up the pace as the season gathered momentum, and his win in Dover was followed by Denny Hamlin winning in Kansas. And as the season progressed, it became obvious that Hamlin was a strong contender for the playoffs. And after their win in the Bristol Night Race, they reiterated their belief that it's their year, referring to the current lack of a championship despite competing at the top of the sport for over a decade after entering the Cup Series way back in 2005. They narrowly missed out to Jimmy Johnson in 2010, despite beginning the year as the bookies' favourite to claim top spot. And that bitterness has led to this year being considered the start of what many are calling Hamlin's villain era. Leaning into that persona, they've branded their podcast Actions Detrimental, and used their platform to criticise NASCAR as an entirety, call out multiple fellow drivers, as well as announcing they'll be remaining at Joe Gibbs Racing for 2024 and beyond. But that place in the team doesn't seem as relaxed and friendly as it could be after Texas, where Hamlin seemed to be one of the few cars capable of competing with pace setters Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. But their dreams of a win, and the round of 8 berth that comes with it, were violently shut down by none other than their teammate and grandson of team owner Ty Gibbs, who managed to slam their 54 car into Hamlin's 11 while on pit road, dealing massive damage to the 11, shunting their aero balance right into the trash and ruining Hamlin's odds of a win. While Gibbs' night was over, with damage to their steering column ruling them out, the biggest impact was on Hamlin, who opted to not return to pit road and battled well to finish in the top 5, landing them a strong haul of playoff points at the end of the night. But it's not an understatement to say that the incident with their teammate cost them the win. Ty Gibbs was downcast in his apology after the race, not offering much up to interviewers, but accepting the blame. Denny post-race talked about how it was the crew of the 2 car's fault, and notably not turning the screw too much on the driver of the 54. This is probably as diplomatic as you'll ever see the driver of the 11. I'm sure most fans would agree that if that incident had been any other driver, and especially one of the Hendrick or Penske guys driving into his passenger side door panel, you'd be looking at an apoplectically aggressive post-race interview. Instead, we got muted disappointment. This might not seem like anything too unusual given Hamlin's precarity. Keeping the team happy by not putting the owner's rich boy nepo baby grandson on blast is a no-brainer when that kind of money is involved. But Hamlin's radio following the incident shows his true frustration with his teammate. And while Denny is no stranger to voicing some very loud opinions during a race, as any episode of Radioactive will prove, this might be a hint at a bigger underlying issue at JGR, just waiting to explode. They very clearly made the call to prioritise Hamlin as their number 1 shot at the title this year, despite some strong showings from the other drivers, like Martin Truex's domination at Sonoma, which I witnessed in person, and New Hampshire, where their title candidacy was really cemented. JGR seemed to have done some internal switching to give Hamlin's car every possible resource, while Truex, Bell and co. have been hung out to dry somewhat, and especially given the constant shifting of the 54's all-star competition-winning pit crew to whichever car seems to be running best at any given weekend. And this definitely will rankle with Ty Gibbs, who didn't make it into the playoffs to begin with, and who is still desperately chasing that first Cup Series win everyone always seems to be talking about. But as I talked about in my video last year, the young blonde poster boy seems to have some real trouble playing nice with his teammates. His choice to make a bump and run manoeuvre for the win on John Hunter Nemechek at Richmond, despite Gibbs really having nothing of significance on the line in that race, showed his win-at-all-costs mentality, and earned the ire of many of the sport's fans. His moniker of the Silver Spoon Kid here, because of family money, not dissimilar to another low-talent driver we know, has stuck, and their joining the Cup Series in Kyle Busch's old ride won't help the atmosphere of controversy that seems to follow them around the garage. But Gibbs' poor decision-making keeps fueling more problems. A week after that infamous Richmond incident, he was on the receiving end of the same move from Sam Mayer, and didn't react best pleased, tracking down Mayer post-race, throwing punches all around, and most notably for some, not fighting like a man by keeping his helmet on the whole time. Those events unfolded over Martinsville's $100,000 Dash for Cash prize. Not exactly something Gibbs is drastically in need of, but he made the choice to leave Mayer with a bloody lip and a gash over their eye anyway. And while there's yet to be an incident quite that controversial in Gibbs' Cup Series career, their time at the top level hasn't quite ignited in terms of results either. Their best finish is 3 fifth-place positions, achieved at Pocono, Watkins Glen and Bristol. making them the only JGR driver without a win this year and the only one not in the playoffs. If that kind of form continues, I'm sure their position, despite their family name, might just be under fire. And that fire lit under them might not work in the inspirational way two-time previous race winner crew chief Chris Gale might like. If Ty can't handle the pressure, it'll likely lead to him making more silly mistakes and bad decisions on the track. And if there's one thing we can all agree on in NASCAR, making yourself more enemies than friends will inevitably get you shuffled to the back of the pack, or worse, planted into a nice cozy barrier before you see the checkered flag. The question of Hamlin's title charge, however, remains to be answered. With Talladega up next, a track where Hamlin has 2 victories and 35 starts, the driver of the 11 currently sits second in the points with a 35-point cushion over the cut line thanks to their stage finishes of 9th and 3rd in Texas. So they're very much still a contender in the title race, with the real drama of this year's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs still yet to come. Do you think Hamlin can win JGR the title? Or is there a Ty Gibbs shaped plot twist yet to come? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed that video and want to support the channel, please click like, subscribe, and consider clicking the link below, where you can have your say on what content I cover next. But as always, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, stay safe out on the road, and I'll see you next time.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. takes it. Lewis Hamilton, champion of the world.
Ewan Kankin, 4 times title holder.